Good morning everybody, it's early July. You can tell it's early July by the cold, the grey sky and all of that.
Summer here.
Proper summer. We're at Didcot Heritage Railway Centre today and we're asking the question, can you safely open a Heritage Railway Centre during the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic?
And how?
And how? We thought we'd put our masks on because we've got to walk, to get to Didcot you've got to walk through the railway station to get to Didcot. So we thought it'd be polite to put our masks on, at least for now.
Yes.
We've come to see Graham.
Yes. Didn't even need to ask.
What I do, I just give him a radio and most likely you can probably walk down the path and I'll let you know you're coming.
Okay, yeah, brilliant.
Wait a moment.
Rebecca's filming snippets. We got Rebecca.
He wants me to film snippets, so I'm snippeting. I'm snippeting.
So if you've never been to Didcot before, which may be likely depending on where you're watching from, Didcot is in the middle of a active triangle. So you've got Didcot station to our left now, and which is the GWR main line between Paddington and, well, west. And to our right you've got the line up to Oxford, which obviously circumnavigates Didcot, so you see quite a range either side of it, which is great. So we'll get a few snippets later on from up on there. I think you can see it from here, up there, an old coal thingy. Very technical. We're going to have a look at a few bits and pieces and see what measures are in place to make this place safe, because it certainly feels safe right now, right?
It does, it does.
Right, lunchtime. It's only like 10:30, but it's lunchtime, right? I'm really hungry.
I have a Trek bar.
Trek bar. What were they when we were kids? Trackers.
Trackers, we were talking about this morning.
Yeah.
I always remember my mum getting those.
Tracker bars.
Yeah. Oh, I never noticed it before.
Yep, what?
So
what?
the bricks here are from Millcott Station platform, and the letterbox is from Southampton, apparently, as well.
Okay, and the fencing?
And the fencing is design known to have been at Paddington in the 19th century.
Okay, cool. So one of the really cool things we love about Didcot, not only have they got a plethora of stuff on view, you know, all over, they've got big old engine sheds full of random bits and pieces, another one up there, big old turntables, but they've also got two working lines. Obviously they're not working at the moment, but they've got two working lines. So they've got this one here, which heads off towards the broad gauge display, which we'll come to in a moment, but they've also got another running line over there adjacent to the main line, and we're going to have a look at the broad gauge. The broad gauge is just fantastic. What an amazing display, also where the broad gauge intertwines with the standard gauge and they run alongside each other. It's just a sight to behold. But do you know what they've got before we get to the broad gauge shed, which I forgot?
Oh, it's Brunel's
mad atmospheric railway.
Yeah.
I mean, this just, yeah.
This was Star Cross, wasn't it?
Star Cross, I think there's still, the pumping house is still there now.
Yes.
Obviously, it was never a thing, I think because of corrosion. I'm going to be really rude here about Brunel, but in what world would you come up with that as it's like when you give a competition to kids and you say, kids, can you design something that's going to help you do this? And one of the kids came up with this, and Brunel ran with it. Am I being really, really unfair?
A little bit, because you think about any invention that's done, either works or it doesn't. So that's obviously an invention that didn't work.
But they put that into production.
Yeah, that's a good point. Normally tests say to you,
I just think that's just
it doesn't work.
But even in your head. Right,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of Brunel fans out there going to be raging at me in the comments right now.
And he did good stuff,
I apologise.
didn't he?
Yes.
He did build some good stuff.
This is Dave, everyone. You may have met Dave before. Dave, 4 questions for you. 4? 4 questions. Number 1.
Yes.
How wide is broad gauge?
How wide is broad gauge? About that?
Okay.
Actually, no, a little bit further. A little bit further
than that.
About that.
Question 2, how wide is standard gauge?
Oh, that's easy. It's about that.
Okay. How many feet is broad gauge?
How many feet is broad
As
gauge?
in feet.
Feet, as in feet.
Let's go.
6 foot.
Right. How many is standard gauge?
4 foot something and a bit.
Right. Let's go. Come on, let's do it. I don't mean feet, Dave. I mean feet.
Oh, you mean feet?
Feet, not feet. Obviously, yeah.
Oh.
Come on. Right. Broad gauge first, Dave. Let's go.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Almost exactly 7 Dave feet.
Almost 7.
Right. And across the standard gauge.
That's broad gauge again.
That's standard gauge. It's broad gauge track.
It's broad gauge track on a okay,
It's
fair
curious,
enough. Yeah.
isn't it? Right. So
okay,
onwards.
go again.
Right. Let's go.
1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite 5.
Not quite
About
5.
4 and a bit.
Conclusion. Dave has you've got 12-inch feet, right?
Yeah,
Because that works, doesn't it?
that worked.
We're in the broad gauge shed. We're in the broad gauge transfer shed. So essentially where they would have stations where there was standard gauge and GWR's old broad gauge, they would have a place like this, which is a transfer shed. So
Swap things over.
that side there is broad gauge with the old Firefly on it, and this is the standard gauge, and they would obviously be able to swap goods over. It's okay. You are allowed to do it, allowed and encouraged to walk on the track today because there is no trains running, so you can walk wherever you like.
Yeah, they're doing it to encourage the social distancing.
Yes.
So,
So we're doing that. We're walking on the track. Okay, we just managed to find a chap called Graham. Graham, we're going to obviously keep our social distance. Welcome to the channel. Graham, you are head of visitor...
I'm head of visitor experience and marketing.
Fantastic. So you are largely responsible for making sure everything is...
Yeah, really, it's just looking after kind of the customer journey, really, from kind of first interaction, which is probably going to be website these days, to kind of waving farewell as they leave the site at the end of the day. So any kind of visitor interaction is ultimately comes down to me and my team.
How have you found that experience in terms of following guidelines of whatever you've needed to do? How has that been for you?
It's been an interesting few weeks. Obviously, kind of late May, we got the idea that we might be able to reopen early July, and then it's just been trying to find out more information and then look at how we can adapt the site so that we can welcome visitors safely, and how we can look after our staff and volunteers. 21 acres, there's a lot of space to spread out, and social distancing is relatively easy. There's so much to explore, you know, from the original engine shed down to the kind of broad gauge and such like, so plenty of room to spread out, plenty to do, but then just making sure that other things that we've added other things outside, so a locomotive on the turntable, a couple of goods trains actually kind of out and posed around the site. We've looked at reopening as much as we can, but absolutely making sure that it's safe and welcoming, and that visitors have a good time. Obviously, one-way systems and some socially distanced queuing for shop and catering, but again, you know, it seems to be working, and people have got used to the system.
In terms of the little bits and pieces that you've done, we've seen a few things, one-way systems, as you said, in the toilets, and I think you're reliant to a degree, as everywhere else is, on people using a bit of common sense, and from what you've seen, I think that's happening.
Absolutely, and I think because it's national, we've all been through lockdown for the last 13-14 weeks. People are used, you know, whether it's the weekly shop at the supermarket or whether it's some of the other businesses that have been able to reopen before tourist attractions, people have got used to that kind of social distancing and to taking care. The site is a little bit different. People have adapted to that, and even some people that are regulars, it's a chance for them to discover the site in a new way, and to actually highlight some things that are a little bit different, and so it's different, but it's still a great visit and a great experience. Yeah.
As far as we're concerned, Didcot is very, very safe, and it is open, and you should come and visit. One last question for you. your favourite exhibit on site?
My favourite is probably Shannon, which is our oldest standard gauge engine here. It was built in 1857. Used to work really locally, so used to run the tramway to Wantage.
Really?
And I think it's just such that charming Victorian design, and ran a really bucolic tramway, and is kind of I think that is kind of the epitome of what railway preservation is all about.
Yeah, we've yet to explore that, haven't we, Rebecca?
Yes.
We will do that old tramway, absolutely.
Yeah.
Graham, thank you very much
You're
for your
very
time.
welcome.
We really appreciate it, and good luck with everything else, and hope it goes well. I'm sure it will.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That was Didcot.
Lovely Didcot.
We can confirm that Didcot is open. We can confirm that Didcot is extremely safe. It's a lovely place to come. It's a beautiful museum, as well as a couple of little heritage on. But as Graham said, it's working really well, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So well done to the
Plenty of space.
guys and girls at Didcot and the volunteers, and I'm sure we'll see you again one day soon. Thanks also for Dave. Dave, say goodbye, Dave.
Goodbye, Dave.
Goodbye, Dave. Well done. See you next time.